This Talend Data Mapper tutorial covers CSV files. Okay, now we're going to show how to import a CSV file into a structure. We're going to take a CSV file from the workspace. So we can import using right-click import here. And in the Data Mapper category of the import, we select CSV. And when you import anything that's a file, you can either do it from a URL or a file in the file system or a resource in the workspace. So this applies to any kind of import. So in this case, we'll pick a resource in the workspace. We'll just pick some sample data that we have lying around. And we'll pick the CSV file. Here we are naming the structure, and it's proposing a name that is based on the file name. So we'll just say that's fine. We can, if we wanted to put the structure into, if we wanted to, for example, create a new folder, we could have the folder up here, and the structure name will be down here. So here we'll specify the properties of the flat representation. So CSV files are a form of flat files. They're handled using the generic rules of the flat file engine of the Talend Data Mapper. So on this property page, you specify the type of new line, which could be the current platform or the various types for different computers, or you can actually specify the new line explicitly by having the new line character here. The number of rows to skip, initial rows to skip for the CSV importer would be 1, and the row is determined by the new line. Physical encoding, which can be character or binary files. For CSV, it's character. The numeric encoding applies to binary. A padding character, which would normally be a space, but it can be something else for output. This is positional. I'll go into that later when I talk about arbitrary files. And the character encoding here would be the platform default. We could pick, UTF-8 or whatever. If this were an EBCDIC file, then we pick something like IBM 037. And there's some help if the character encoding is not found. You can click on this link here, and it will give you some additional help about make sure that you have your JRE set up to have the extended character sets and so forth. So it tells you how to do that. And then some other options about trimming and padding white space and so forth. So we'll continue, and the import is done. So now it brings us to the structure that it's imported, and it also associates the sample document. The document that you imported becomes the sample document for the structure. So if we look at the select sample document, we can see that this document is associated with this structure. You can also add, as I've discussed in other tutorials, you can add additional sample documents. So here we click on the fields as usual, and it will show them in the file. The CSV importer will also add an XML representation. If we look at the representations of the structure, we'll also add an XML representation. So you could actually view this as if it were XML, which could sometimes be handy. So here we're viewing it as if it's flat, and here we're viewing it as if it's XML. So you can see that how things are interpreted. You can see all the field names. And the other thing I'll point out is that, as I said earlier, there's nothing special in the flat file handling for CSV. So flat file handling is done by respecting the looping characteristics, the size characteristics, the group characteristics, and then adding and then having the capability of specifying initiating and terminating strings at any level. So in this case, CSV is just a bunch of rows, the row loops, and then each element is mandatory because it's CSV. You have to have something there in each position. And it's terminated by a comma. So literally comma-separated values. One of the weaknesses of the current importer is that it assumes you're dealing with commas. If you have a situation where you're dealing with a non-comma delimited file, what you should do is change the first row to be comma delimited, import it to create the structure, and then change in the imported structure, change the terminator characters in each field to be whatever your desired terminator is. I know this is painful and something that we need to improve in the product to make the CSV importer better and respect arbitrary delimiters. But that's pretty much it for CSV.